All right. Okay, everyone. We are in our new location at Village Grace Church, the new home for Rivers Gate. They've graciously allowed us to take over their meeting room once a month. We're pretty happy with it. It's a nice, cozy little room. Good setup here. We have, as I can tell, 11 people here in person, 9 on Zoom, including 6 board members, and therefore quorum has been achieved. Right. Are you? Sorry, just a moment. We'll share the agenda here. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you see any?
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Let me reshare the agenda. We were trying to pull it up on a different screen and it wasn't showing. So we get to it just a second. Sorry about that. Little delay. You know, we always have some sort of a technical something going on. Hold on, sorry. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay, so first up is we are going to review the agenda, and then we're going to approve our previous minutes from the June and July meetings. We did not approve the ones in July due to lack of quorum. So first up is our quarterly officer reports, and then we'll move into committee reports, and then have a couple of items for new business, and then announcements. Should be a fairly straightforward meeting tonight. Unless there are any changes to call forth, I am going to move that we approve the previous minutes from June 2025 and July 2025. Right, hearing none. Let's go on to our quarterly officer reports. Stop share real quick. All right. So for my president report this month, I kind of just wanted to take a moment and reflect on just how active and vibrant our neighborhood has been this summer. From the street mural refresh to the wildly popular movie in the park and garage sale day, it's been really wonderful to see our community come together, have everyone having fun and strengthening the ties that really make Multnomah a special place to live. So, and I know none of this would have been possible without the dedication of all of our committee chairs, event leads, and volunteers. Each one of you has poured in like countless hours into planning and organizing, making sure everything ran smoothly. I'm truly amazed by everyone's commitment and energy, creativity to NNA. I'm also really deeply proud of our board for navigating several leadership transitions while facing hurdles that the city has thrown our way. The board held 2 special meetings in July to vote in opposition of the Sears Armory site being included in the Affordable Housing Opportunity Project, or better known as AHOP. You know, we cited significant concerns that were raised from the neighborhood and a lack of the contingency plan or alternative sites of the city to ensure adequate emergency response capabilities for the residents of the West Side. The full motion of those motions are on the shared drive if anyone wants to go check those out. As we move into fall, I want to remind everyone that our elections are coming up. With the loss of Moses Ross and several of our other leadership transitions this past year, it's more important than ever that we have the support of our neighbors to keep MNA strong and moving forward. Currently have a number of vacant board, officer, and committee chair positions, some of which are truly essential for this organization to function. I want to encourage everyone to consider stepping up into one of these roles, or maybe there's a neighbor who you think might be a good fit. All of our involvement can really make a difference. So please consider submitting a nomination by the October meeting for the annual elections in November. That concludes my president's report for this quarter. Kick it over to Julie. You have a secretary report.
As it relates to secretary, I don't have any report out.
Okay. And then our treasurer, Peter, is not here today. He is off on vacation. I'm very jealous. So I'll try to do my best to give a quick summary on his report, but that is also in the drive of the full report, which I've shared the link in the chat for anyone that wants to go take a look. But I know that all of our committee chairs have really done an excellent job with all of our busy summer activities, keeping expenditures lean and tracking all of our incoming donations for all the projects. So thank you everyone for that. It makes a big difference in the reporting. His finance report. So overall, Peter states that the committee's treasurer, the financial activity continues to be positive and going strong. We have over 21,000 in the bank with a few liabilities and a couple of grant obligations that we need to fulfill. The full financial statement, like I said, is on the drive. Anyone wants to go take a peek. Garage sale day was a huge success, netting 1,100 in donations or $400 in revenue. We also received some donations from the street mural refresh and First Friday concert in Village Park. And yeah, I think the rest, I'll just let everyone go read it. Okay. Any questions, specific questions on any of our reports before we move on to committee reports? All right. First up is livability. Julie, would you like to share your report?
Yeah. Summer was not as busy as other times of the year for us, but we were able to do a fun, our second annual Free Geek recycling technology event on August 23rd. And that was great. I didn't get the tonnage of the items that the neighbors were able to drop off and donate to Free Geek and clean out their garage and help Free Geek's mission of recycling and refurbishing for helping underserved populations, but that was really great. Village Park is part of livability currently, and Tom Moore had given a report. Tom is the livability co-chair and leading the Village Park activities. The wildly popular summer concert series wrapped up last Friday. At First Friday, I was in attendance. It was amazing. They're also hosting singer-songwriter pop-ups. They had booths at Multnomah Days. They're setting up right now to do a photo booth and Halloween kind of graveyard situation for Halloween in the village, which will be super fun. But they did all sorts of site improvements, and more people are loving Village Park. We are doing a shared Multnomah and Hillsdale Solve trash cleanup in the balmy months and days of November 1st. Don't ask. But it'll be 50 people, and it's going to be some big sites, and it's going to be a big cleanup. So if you want to get real dirty, look for our invites for the Solve cleanup for Saturday, November 1st, which will be coming shortly. We also got some neighbors together to help the walking path from students going to Jackson Middle School coming from Multnomah. The underpass at Southwest 26 going towards 5 was problematic, and we were able to get a bunch of people together to whack back the blackberries and clean off debris and make a safe path for pedestrians, you know, and handicapped people and bicyclists to go that route in a safe and you know, cleaner kind of environment. But that's really the activities that come to mind, and that report is on shared drive.
like there's some good things coming forward. Are you guys?
Oh, and the bike bus. I don't know if we have anybody that'll be talking about the adorable bike bus that happened. The Portland Police came and Sanjuro helped with it and Stefan helped with it. And it was the Maplewood kids all met at John's Marketplace on the first Friday of school. And they had music. I mean, it was like legit bike bus and everybody went and the bike police were there and it was just cuter than a basket of puppies. It was really just a wonderful thing to witness and to participate in.
And you said bike?
The bike bus, it's basically,
B-I-K-E.
yeah, bicycle. It basically encourages the elementary kids to to ride their bikes to school on Fridays in a really safe way because the route sometimes isn't that safe for littles riding their bikes from there to Maplewood. So yeah, it's very
I
safe.
my daughter went
Yeah.
long ago.
Awesome. All right, next up is our Friends of Spring Garden Park. Pam, are you or Sarah giving the report today?
Yes, so this is Pam. I'm here. Hi, everybody. Gosh, I guess we're reporting on everything's in the report on the shared drive, but for September, we don't have anything new coming up. We're just continuing with our usual stewardship activities, about 2 per month, and nothing else to report for that.
I know we usually tend to go a little bit quicker through our committee reports during our regular meetings when we have a guest speaker. Since we don't have a guest speaker today, I know we all have the full reports on the drive, but if any of the chairs, if you guys have some specific asks or you want to talk a little bit more in depth about an upcoming project, let's definitely use this time to do that today.
Since I just finished talking, would it be okay if I mentioned something else it's related to me, but it doesn't fit squarely into my committee at this point, but it's the community traffic safety event that Multnomah Neighborhood Association is invited to participate in. It's another rendition of the same one that we did in March with Hayhurst Neighborhood and Portland Police and Safe Routes to School, PBOT, and adjacent neighborhoods and schools. Multnomah Neighborhood Association is invited to participate again. And if that is okay with the group, if we have permission to include the logo from MNA on the event flyer and just include an announcement about the event for volunteers, then MNA would be considered a partner in the event. It's October 13th. It's a Monday. It's going to be from 7:30 to 9 a.m. We're inviting elected officials, and we do have the support of Portland Police for traffic enforcement. The location is at 50th in Vermont, all the way up to and including the intersection of 45th in Vermont. So I'll be able to distribute information on that. Yeah.
Hey Pam, is this the zebra? Is this the
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is so fun. This is as cute as the bike bus. This is a whole bunch of people standing on either side of the street, encouraging drivers to go to slow down. And it's also really, really fun. Thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you for mentioning that. So yes, the point of it is to get out there in the morning when kids are going to school, hold some signs and encourage drivers to honor the speed limit in the school zone and to slow down and really actually to combat distracted driving, which has been a big problem. 45th in Vermont is the point at which Hayhurst, Maplewood, and Multnomah neighborhoods meet. So this event is actually kind of a special thing to bring the leaders of the 3 neighborhoods together. And that's a cool thing because we can kind of know each other better and work together better just as a result of these events. But PBOT does supply 1 or more zebra outfits. So I hope that I can wear another one. If anybody else is up for it, one might be available. This is being planned on behalf of West Hills by West Hills Montessori School and inviting all the community partners. So
yeah, and I think you had that as the one in the spring was under community events when you were leading that. And now stands community events, and we don't have Stefan here. Sanjuro, is that something that you would want to
Sure.
put underneath the umbrella of your group, and then we can promote it through M&A?
Sure.
Awesome, all right. Can you, yeah, Pam, you can connect with Sanjuro, and then you guys, whatever you need from us, he can help you out with that.
Okay, sounds great. You guys will be seeing a draft of the event flyer before it's finalized for distribution. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Pam. All right, next up on our committee list is equity. Will, would you like to share your report?
Sure. I want to do a couple of things. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about what we do in terms of projects. One of our main projects is supporting immigrants and refugees, which is becoming much more important as the feds threaten to send troops. Working with the Business Association and others, and Southwest Equity Coalition, which has a lot of immigrant and refugee organizations and members. But our report this month went in a slightly different tack. You can read it online. It's called The American Roots of DEI. And I want to read, not the whole thing, it's fairly long, but I want to read the last paragraph and an afterword for a call to action. Last paragraph. Now the federal government is labeling its commitment to realize the American dream as a left-wing divisive plot to undermine this great nation. Nothing could be further from the truth. Therefore, we affirm our commitment to our true American roots so that people in our neighborhood may taste the sweet fruits of the American tree of liberty and justice for all. Nothing could be more American. Now, our call to action afterwards, it really hits home locally. We're seeing too many politicians at the national, state, and especially the local level being bullied into backing off their DEI programs for fear of losing much needed federal funding. They assure us that they're fully committed to anti-discrimination policies, but without measuring or enforcing effective action to bring those policies to reality, the commitment is a meaningless mockery. DEI programs, or their equivalent, are tools of measurement and enforcement. Our neighborhood association is therefore called to act so that our political leaders have the tools to resist such bullying and will represent us with honor as the home of the brave. That's that report. We're acting, there's one other coda. I'm the board liaison to the Community Advisory Committee for Safe West Village. Safe West Village is a very controversial topic for a variety of reasons. I see what I'm doing as an equity project. We talk about an open, fair, welcoming, and safe neighborhood. I want to emphasize the fairness and safety, that everyone involved in that project deserves to be treated fairly and to be safe in their lives. So that's what we're doing for equity. I would welcome people to join our committee, to join our projects. We have a laundry list of projects we're not able to do because we don't have enough people. So come on down to the equity committee and you can have a lot of fun and wave a few flags.
The equity committee hold regular meetings, Will?
Those regular meetings, it is the third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. excuse me, on Zoom. This month.
So the third Thursday?
Third Thursday, and you can get the information on our website and on our report. I think that this one has it.
Excellent. And then you'll have a meeting next Thursday.
I will.
All right.
Well, I have to look at it. That's Thursday. That's the third. This is the second Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay, somewhere. Okay.
Thank you, Will. Great. Going to skip transportation. Stefan is not here with us today. If he joins later, we'll come back to him. Okay, our MSRV for CAC. I'm not sure which, see, you've got our full committee here. I'm not sure which one of you will be giving your report today.
I see on here, and I see
Paloma.
Paloma.
Yeah,
Mark?
I'm tasked with talking about it, but before I go too far, I'd like to recognize Macy Guppy, who I'm recognizing her on the right side of my screen, so farthest end of the table away from the window as a new member of our committee. Thank you for joining, and thank you for jumping into 2 meetings already, including today's and then tonight's. Much appreciated. So July, August, reflected the transition between Sunstone Way and Urban Alchemy as the operator on the site. Sunstone Way, except for a few lingering things that may or may not have been their issues specifically, was probably leaving on a high note with respect to the feelings of the adjacent neighbors in terms of how they were dealing with issues. Urban Alchemy was an unknown in July, at the beginning of July in terms of how they would operate our Safe First Village. And they appear to have a very engaged director on site. They're still working through some things that are of concern, things that are in the Good Neighbor Agreement that their model hasn't fit with yet, including a direct line like a bat phone directly into the Safe Rest Village. They've got a couple of switchboard operators, daytime, evening, but their phone line goes to voicemail at night. They've also, the same person I mentioned, the director, has offered up phone numbers for the main directors morning, noon, and night. So 2 adjacent neighbors. So if they have an issue, they need to contact them. They have a pretty fair chance of reaching a live person, which is a good workaround temporarily, but it would be great if they got a phone line in there. Things from the adjacent neighbor reporting side have been a little rocky. Noise from the inside, including dogs barking. They have a dog sort of park area inside, and then there's currently 16 dogs in the Safe Rest Village. Music being played, sometimes coming from staff vehicles that are parked up on the northwest side. Things like that they're going to try and work on. They have worked on moving some of the more noise producing circumstances away from a couple of adjacent neighbors that have had issues with that in particular. So it's kind of a work in progress, I would say. We're hopeful that they keep listening. They seem to be listening right now. Bigger challenge in my mind, my own mind, is that the Good Neighbor Agreement says that once the operator changes, then the agreement needs to be revisited or renewed. There also is, I don't think, a joint office of homeless services presence since Urban Alchemy has been hired by the city. And just a few things else in the Good Neighbor Agreement that we probably should discuss as a neighborhood association and decide if we're going to take it to the city again. I think I'm going to just sort of leave it there. We have our reports on the website, and it was issued in the newsletter as well.
Thank you, Mark. And I just kind of want to mention here as well. I know that we have, for our Good Neighbor Agreement, we have our 4 dedicated CAC reps. But I want everyone to know that the CAC, our CAC, Multnomah CAC does hold regular meetings. Is that correct, Mark? Regular monthly meetings.
Yeah, we have at least monthly meetings. The goal is to have a monthly meeting before our real big community advisory committee meeting. So our monthly meetings are Wednesdays, the first Wednesday of the month in the evening, and then the community advisory committees with all the city and the urban community and so forth. That's the second Tuesday of each month at 3:30 in the afternoon. So, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to, know that that your CAC, the Multnomah CAC meetings, the monthly ones are, open to the public. So if maybe we can get our public safety committee chair, Sandro, involved in some of those, and maybe some of the other, groups within the neighborhood to kind of help you guys chat through some topics and work through some challenges before you go and present to for the Good Neighbor Agreement dedicated meetings that are closed. But the other open meetings, I think, we could try to work on getting some more involvement, from the neighborhood, with you guys and with the adjacent neighbors. To work on.
Diane, could you describe again which meetings are open and which ones closed?
So, two, and then I'll go to you next, Lisa. We had a question in the room. Macy asked what the difference was. For our Good Neighbor Agreement, there is, it's the committee advisory group or something like that. It has a different, the CAC has a different connotation, that is made up of the key stakeholders within the GNA, and so that all of the stakeholders can come together and have, monthly meetings to talk about what's going on in the SRB. And then a separate subsection of our GNA is that our Multnomah Neighborhood Association has a separate citizens advisory committee. There's 4 people that are appointed to that, but those meetings, that's one I'm talking about, that our Multnomah Neighborhood Association CAC meetings are open to our neighborhood, and then to help work on anything, and then those 4 main representatives go to the stakeholder meeting.
Right, may speak as a member of the board. That's a place to channel people's several concerns into one place, because they report to the board, they have access immediately to us, and can get things done as effectively as possible, which is relative. Sometimes it's not very effective, but they're there.
Yeah.
And if we get a consistent message to the board then can act, because the board is the only acting body for things that are going on.
Lisa.
So a couple things, the Good Neighbor Agreement, the stakeholders included the county and some other people that aren't players anymore. So how do you amend the Good Neighbor Agreement? County's not involved anymore. We got a new operator. There's talk of this extended perimeter from 150 feet to 1,000 to be like what the Pearl District has. There's sort of all these sort of things out there that have changed since that Good Neighbor Agreement was signed. That's one. And two, could Darlene Garrett become part of the, if we're going to invite other people to our smaller group meetings, could Darlene come? Would she be helpful in helping us handle some of these situations, since she's overseeing many neighborhood associations that are dealing with neighborhood problems? So those are my 2 questions.
Yeah, Lisa, she's the District 4 coordinator, correct?
Yes.
She's the executive director of District 4.
Right. So when I've asked her to join our larger CAC groups, the city of Portland doesn't want her there. She can only, they said she can only observe. She can't participate. And I don't understand that at all.
Yeah. So, yeah, the larger CAC meetings with the stakeholders, with the city and the school and our small 4 representatives, that's set by the GNA. So Darlene can't attend those meetings because they're closed, because she's not a stakeholder. But yes, I don't see why Darlene couldn't attend the smaller CAC meetings, that are open to the public, that are M&A ones. She can attend those, and you guys can ask her questions and kind of like work maybe to resolve, get her feedback on something that then our 4 representatives will take to the big CAC meetings to then bring those up and bring their ideas
Into the board.
and to the board, yeah. Yes, Sandra.
Question, is attendance limited or is participation at the bigger?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Is attendance limited or is participation limited at the bigger meeting? So could Darlene, for instance, attend the meeting, but just not participate?
No, it's stipulated that only the stakeholders that are mentioned in the GNA can attend those meetings. So it's very specific on people, what organization they're with and the number of people as well. That we had a question in the chat. Can we please repeat when the public Multnomah CAC meetings happen, so that we can add it to the website?
It's the first Wednesday of the month and it's 7 p.m. Wait, 7 p.m., 6 p.m. Hang on. Bear with me.
Are we recording these and these are going to go on the website? Are these, I didn't understand. I knew that Will was sort of mentoring us in these meetings, but are they being recorded for all the neighborhood to watch? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I think the ask was just to post the time on the website. So if anyone wants to join and can help be supportive and come with solutions and ideas, that they know what time to join at. Not that they're being recorded. There's no recording or minutes that's necessary for those.
Okay, so if that's the case, I encourage anyone out there who is looking for something to do to please join us. We have a lot of problems we need to solve and we would love your help.
Yeah. Mark posted 6 p.m. First Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. So, yeah, keep encouraging folks and reminding everyone, and I will connect Sandra, our public safety, with our CAC, and you can help as well. And then Lisa, for your second part, I think Mark touched on the updating the GNA and his report. So let's take that offline and look into what we need to do to update at the bare minimum from Sunstone Way to Urban Healthy. Okay,
Sounds
which
good.
leads us to our Public Safety Committee Chair, Sandra. Would you like to give your report?
Sure. So Julie already mentioned the bike bus, which was fantastic. I don't have kids and I loved it, so that says something, I think. I did want to give a shout out to Naomi, one of the co-leaders of the bike bus. She was the one who did sort of all the heavy lifting for communications and outreach. And it went off great. I think they had more attendees there than they had ever had before. So it was a really fun thing. One of the other things that I've been doing is trying to start getting a handle on some of the data, some of the sort of crime, police call, that sort of thing data. So on my monthly report, I'm including just some crime statistics stuff. I've also started to create sort of a map that we can layer open data. The police bureau provides open data, an open data portal. So I've started to figure out which sort of things might be useful to put on a map, and I've started to map those things. And I'm hoping to eventually to kind of make it self-sustaining, so it doesn't really need much touch from anyone. It'll just kind of happen, but that'll take a little while. So also sort of in terms of data, I know that like I've been trying to pay attention to some of the difficulties around the Safe Rest Village, and the last meeting we had, I talked to a couple of the adjacent neighbors and ended up creating sort of a Google form that creates a standardized spreadsheet. They have been keeping track of some of the incidents that had occurred, and so I sort of tried to give it a little bit of a common format and something that could be sort of reported out. I don't know if it's going to be useful or not. It was sort of a speculative thing on my part, and I certainly don't want to like add work for people. So if it's something that others are interested in, if they live right next to the MSRB, I'm happy to sort of expand it, or I'm happy to just kind of let it die if it's not actually useful. But I know it was helpful for me to understand sort of the daily drip of, you know, things that were happening in the SRV that were troublesome for the members. So, and the last thing was, at the last meeting, at the last M&A meeting, there was quite a bit of discussion around some of the disaster preparedness things that the Sears site was intended to handle. So I started reaching out to Portland Emergency Bureau, Emergency Response Bureau, and sort of some of those discussions are ongoing. But I was hoping to sort of get some sense of what their plans were and how the Sears site fit into those plans. And so I'll keep kind of digging into that as we go along. Then I think Tom also wanted to say something.
Yeah,
I think we have a question online. Is it, Lisa, is your question specific to that, or do you want Tom to continue real quick? You're on mute. Sorry.
Specific to what Tom said, Tom, should all the adjacent neighbors who are sort of emailing each other include you now in the loop on these emails of our reporting? We don't call the police because the police aren't coming.
Yeah, so you're welcome to include me. What I would sort of like to do is, so the intent behind that Google form was to just give a really easy way for people to kind of be like, oh, this happened, and record it, and then, you know, all the adjacent neighbors could have access to that. And if there were multiple reports, you would see, oh, this affected multiple neighbors, that sort of thing. Like it was supposed to be like a reporting mechanism, because that kind of information isn't available on the open data platforms that the police provide. It's only information that we can gather. So I'm happy to talk about it more and figure out if it's useful, or if you just want to sort of email me and I can try to put stuff in the form, that sort of thing. I'm happy to, and maybe this might be a good conversation if I can attend the next CAC meeting, the small CAC.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Mark, is your question in relation to that as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Go ahead.
Or maybe it's a comment, I don't know. So District 4 Coalition has its own Safety and Livability Committee, and there is a subcommittee that I somehow volunteered for to create, for lack of a better term, sort of a report card format. The focus largely in District 4 right now, if you look at the heat map, it's sort of Northwest Portland and that, but they're looking at generating a similar sort of reporting mechanism, maybe using a database. And it's just in its, you know, we had our first official meeting yesterday. So I will keep you updated on that. And
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd be
you know,
about that.
Yeah, great. Well, yeah, connect Andro and Mark and the CAC, and your email is the publicsafety@MNA?
Yep.
Okay.
Public dash.
Public-safety. I'm gonna put it in the chat for everyone. Yes. .org. Lisa, is that an old hand or a new hand? Okay, cool. All right. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump. Okay, back to the PBIM, what you guys are working on for emergency response.
Well, I wanted to, well, my name's Tom Boker. I'm the team lead for the Multnomah Neighborhood Emergency Team. And on behalf of the team, I would like to thank MNA for providing booth space for us at events, Southwest Parkways, Multnomah Days, and the painting project at 36. And we were able to make a lot of good contacts, and we are very appreciative of MNA supporting us in those efforts. And like I said, providing us with booth space and promoting artwork throughout the community. So especially Will and Peter, and then Julie and Pam have been involved in various different ways, and San Gerald has been very helpful in a couple of projects. So I want to thank MNA for all of the good support.
Yeah. We're glad that you're so active in the neighborhood and getting people prepared for anything that might come our way. Okay, Real quick before I move on to our other committees, I see that Stefan has joined, so I'm going to put you on the spot, Stefan.
Get used to it.
Do you have a transportation report you'd like to share?
Thanks for putting me on the spot so quick. Yes, it's kind of been a while since we all last met, so I'm trying to think of all the things that have happened over that time. But the big news is that it looks like the very super simple safety project at 35th and Multnomah is going to happen. I actually talked to the project manager today, and they seem to think that summer of 2026 is doable to implement it. So, safety project is simple. It's going to close the right turn lane from eastbound Multnomah onto southbound 35th in front of the food carts. And it's going to allow for additional street parking where that right turn lane is, as well as a larger waiting area for pedestrians waiting on that signal. And it should provide some buffer for anybody who has to take a wheelchair or a stroller around the 2 steps that are on the short stretch of sidewalk on 35th. If you know where those 2 steps are, if you've ever pushed a stroller around it, you've been terrified. So it should address that slightly. That's the big picture thing. That is an update worth sharing. A bunch of other smaller things on other peripheral projects that are eventually going to happen in the surrounding neighborhood, but not directly in Multnomah. But there'll be a couple other decent upgrades coming to Southwest Portland in general. That's about all I have right now. I'm a little stalled out on the 35th and Falcon depaving project, but hopefully going to kick that back into gear soon, and maybe hopefully there's an event in the spring. So to be seen. That's all I got. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, we have 2 questions, one online and one in the room, and
Four.
Oh my gosh.
I have a question for you too, Stefan, but I'll go last. Judith raised her hand first, so Judith, go ahead.
I had bugged Peabody about that intersection, that the walk lights don't talk like they do by IW Wells, and it'd be really, really great if those walk signs actually said the walk sign is on.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who's visually impaired who lives on the other side there, and she's got quite a struggle crossing that intersection. So that would be really helpful.
Yeah, that's good to note. The hope is that if the SIPP program goes forward, that would be a priority target for a real full-scale improvement. But just to guys give you all some numbers, for the cost to redo a complete refresh of an intersection now is upwards of 2 million to 2.5 million. It's insane what it costs. So yeah, the project that I mentioned briefly is like going to be $5,000, $10,000 or something. So, but fingers crossed that the SIPP goes through. So thanks for sharing.
Okay, and next hand up was Julie here in person. So.
Hey, Julie.
Hey, Stefan. I am getting now critical mass on Southwest 30th. I'm getting a number of people now saying they really want to explore how to request speed bumps or other speed mitigation options for 30th between Spring Garden and the Village. And I keep saying like, yeah. I need your help on how to put together. I need your guidance. We can talk offline, but I would love to get enough of your guidance and expertise to put something together. And I think about what Pam and Corinne did they worked really hard to learn how to do the permits for closing off streets and then communicated it out. I'd love if we worked together and created some sort of path and like some options, like choose your own adventure. If you go this route, expect this. If you go this route, expect that. So we could share it with others, especially with me, who somebody else is going to then ask about Hume or Troy or something like that.
Right. Well, and the good news is on that route, that That route is listed, unfortunately, as only a tier 2 project, but it is listed in the Southwest in Motion plan, which is going to be the starting point for a lot of that SIPP money investment. Not sure it's going to get all the way down to the tier 2 projects, but there's some hope there. So yes, let's talk offline, Julie. I can get you guys a game plan
Thank you.
and help out too. And
Of course.
Next up was Macy.
Oh, I think.
Question?
Okay. I have a couple questions. Hi. One is I live on Southwest 27th and I know there's a lot of unimproved roadways in this area. Mine being one of them. I'm just curious, is there a overall plan that those get gravelled or whatever every 2 years or is it random?
that is a great question. The re-graveling goes through the fixing our streets funding, and I doubt the frequency is as frequent as every 2 years. But do you feel like your gravel road is in need of a refresh?
It's no, well, I mean, sure, we take it, but no, I think I was happily surprised that first of all, it started because we didn't have anything for decades, but no, I just am guessing that it's been a couple of years since it was first done, but that may not be, my brain may not have that right.
They are working through fixing some of those or redoing some of those streets. So there have been some in the Multnomah area that I think Multnomah Village area that got touched in like the last 3 or 4 years. So yours may be one of them. I'm not sure what the exact frequency is, but there is still funding, and ODOT is or PBOT's going through a cycle where they are addressing those.
Great. My other question is a newbie question, which you all probably discussed ad nauseum, and that is the whole VAX plan dead for Southwest Portland?
Mostly, but not in some ways not dead enough, which might be good. So I'll explain what I mean by that. So one is, as we all know, Barber Boulevard is probably the worst managed, maintained street in our entire neighborhood area by a long shot. And with Southwest Corridor, as this thing may happen in the future, ODOT won't invest any money into that. And so that's why I say it's a shame that it's not dead all the way. What is likely to happen is I would expect there to be a Barber BRT project. And BRT is the new hot thing, which is bus rapid transit. Right now, TriMet's building one on 82nd. And the next one they're going to be doing is going to be on TV Highway, basically between Beaverton and Hillsborough. And so I would bet the farm that the next BRT project is going to go down Barber. And then that project is going to be a precursor to probably a Southwest Corridor, but that Southwest Corridor is probably 15 years out or more. So, and the BRT project is probably 5 years out.
Thank you.
Yep.
You still got more questions, Stefan. Beth, you are up next.
Stefan, hooray, hooray, hooray for the
Hi,
35th
Beth.
at Multnomah success
Yes.
that you have. That's going to be awesome. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was still on mute. Yeah, that's fabulous. That's been a very scary intersection. And sometimes it stopped me from going over to the food trucks, to the French Quarter, because I didn't want to have to stand there to come back. And sometimes I would go, this also addresses the request for an audible signal. Sometimes I would walk across 35th, where it's little, and try to cross on the other side of the street. And that is really difficult because there's just no wheelchair kind of access or mobility access. and as I showed you when we were out looking at that intersection, that where they put the push button for the traffic light to cross is in a really weird place that's hard to find, especially if you're a blind person like I am. As far as the audible signal, that's going to be pretty much impossible to get. They're usually at really, 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 really big, busy intersections near schools, near other places than, you know, food trucks and restaurants. So I'm sorry to say, I wish we had them at every intersection, but that's just not the case. Anyway, thank you again for that, Stefan.
Yep.
My next, and I have a question, and that is there any hope to get broken pavement fixed, like street pavement, that's next to curbs? I mean,
think
I know where I live.
Yeah.
It's just a big problem, and I use a white cane, and the white cane keeps getting stuck in it, and I trip over it, and it's just very hazardous.
I would say that for that, I would use the 823 safe approach, which is the non-emergency traffic concern, or it's something like non-emergency PBOT's non-emergency traffic concern. There's also a website for it now. Actually, let me find it. I'm going to throw it in the link for everybody. And but that is like the one-stop like reporting tool that I would say would be the first thing for a pavement issue like that, because then they will come and look at it, and that is a good way to get it fixed.
Thank you. And if you could send me that link by email, I'd appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Since I don't see the chat.
Okay, yeah, I will.
Okay, thanks, Stefan.
Yep.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, Carolyn.
I heard about 30th. I want to tell you, I have gone to PDX Reporter for several years now about 31st. It has become the traffic route for everything, and the 25-mile-an-hour signs now might as well be 40 or 50. And I've gotten 2 responses. One, that until somebody gets hit in the crosswalk, they can't do anything. And one was that things like speed bumps were in a 5-year plan. Is there any way we, as the neighborhood association, could maybe tie plastic red and yellow things around the signs that say it's a crosswalk? The only way I can cross that street is to stand there and wait for somebody to stop, because they just whiz by. I don't know how Beth does it.
Is this at Multnomah?
It's between Multnomah and Capitol Highway. It's halfway up.
Oh, yes, because
right by the Mac parking lot.
There's no crosswalk there, Beth, between you and the Mac.
Yes, there is.
There is a crosswalk there. There's a painted crosswalk there. And I thought
okay.
I mean, they kept refusing to get that done, but that crosswalk is the only route to get to the bus stop.
It's
the crosswalk needs like some extra signage that say like, look, pedestrians, and has the arrow, or even a push button that makes a light flash.
Oh, we would love that.
Yeah.
They won't put, I've requested that push button a bunch of times. They won't put that in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if they put up a sign saying there's a blind person in the neighborhood. I don't know if they do that here in Portland, but I've seen that in other cities.
There's a fun thing they did in Vancouver and Granville Island where they have buckets on either side of the crosswalk, and they have these foam, they look like bricks. And you pick one up to start walking across, and people driving get their attention on you pretty fast when you're walking with a brick.
Love it.
Or they could just have like the little buckets with the little flags that they have at like the school crossings where then you just walk with the flag across.
And
I'm just thinking out loud here.
That was first started by the independent living movement in San Francisco. And that has been very helpful. I wouldn't mind anything that would help. And Carolyn, it's my white cane that helps stop the traffic, but
maybe I should get a white cane.
No, well, you would get arrested for that. Actually, that would be against the law for you to have one.
I wouldn't do it. I'm kidding.
Well, thank you for sharing. yes, the 823 safe route would be the appropriate first step, at least.
That would be for the problem or for the,
that would be for the pavement problem and for a request for additional upgrades to a crosswalk. I will say that that stretch of 31st, actually all the way from Capitol Highway to Hume, and then Hume between 31st to 30th, and then 30th from Hume all the way to Spring Garden, is the actual alignment that's listed as the Tier 2 project in Southwest in Motion. That doesn't mean anything's actually going to happen, but again, that, as you mentioned, that is a busy road, and that whole stretch, even 30th between Spring Garden and Hume, is ridiculous, and that's because it's the only way you can get from I-5 northbound into the village. And so, I'm on part of that route myself to get to my house. To go an alternate way would add like 10 minutes. I'd go, I don't know, by Jackson Heights Middle School. There's no proper way that's been established that's safe for pedestrians to walk through there. So, speed bumps and
the fear is
hopefully
that
eventually an upgrade.
the fear is that if we complain about it, they're going to remove that crosswalk. And we were threatened with that at the beginning of, during my year-long battle to even get that crosswalk.
Yeah.
So it's a concern. They had they paint that, paint a crosswalk there, or pay a lot of people to gain access to put in sidewalks along. There's just partial sidewalks on our side of the.
Okay. Well,
anyway, thanks.
Thanks for sharing.
And that took more time than I expected it would. Thanks for your time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move on, just in the interest of time, to our governance committee, and hand that over to Tad for his update. And I only have one of presentations to share, Tad. Trying to get the other one up. You need me to share this?
Do.
Share this one.
Share now, what we should be saying over there too.
Can you put it on your calendars and post?
This is a motion to amend the bylaws. We won't be voting on this motion until the annual meeting in November. That's when amendments to bylaws should happen. And a reminder that all members, not just board members, are authorized to vote on bylaws amendments. In this amendment, as it says, the governance committee moves to amend the bylaws as follows. Under Article 8, Section 2B, emergency board meeting, strike out 24 and replace it with 2. I also want to present this as a model for motions that are changing our policies, whether in the bylaws or in standing rules. So you see 3 columns here. Here is the current language for that section. In the middle column, you see the 24 stricken out and a 2 inserted. And then finally in the last column is the new language, how it would appear in the bylaws if the motion is approved. And then below that, here's the effect. If approved, this motion reduces the minimum time requirement for advance notice of an emergency meeting. The rationale is that a 24-hour minimum advance notice is not consistent with the concept of an emergency meeting. As I said, we'll be voting on the main motion in 2 months at the annual meeting in November, but it is not too early to discuss the motion and amend the motion if someone would like to. For instance, if 2 hours is not enough or too much, we could amend that right now to 1 hour or 3 hours or 4.5 hours. Any discussion?
This is Julie. I think that moving it to a much shorter period of time, like 2 hours makes a lot of sense because we experienced a bottleneck where it was important for us to be responsive to the community in a short period of time. So it makes total sense to me. I think feels like 2 hours is right, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree, Julie. We've seen 2 instances so far this year where trying to get work done and can't be effective if we have to have a 24-hour notice for emergencies. So we do have a question in the chat. Is emergency defined?
In this language here, you can see that the current language of the bylaw states that the president or at least 3 board members may call an emergency meeting of the board when there is insufficient time to address timely business within the notice requirements of a regular or special meeting. So it's just a timeliness.
Did that answer your question, Amanda? Okay, Sandra.
This isn't really part of the change, but I am curious if, let's say, someone who thinks they have an interest, because the last sentence there is with an interest be notified. Let's say someone thinks they have an interest, but they're not notified. Is there recourse for that?
Thanks for bringing that up. I was going to state this also, or point this out, that even with this change, that requirement to notify everybody is still in there, still required. However, emergency board meetings are just for board members, and there's got to be at least an attempt to contact all of the board members. And also, well, according to this, also an attempt to contact those who are particularly interested for one reason or another, who have some involvement. So one could argue that, yeah, well, you gave it 2 hours, but you didn't really reach all the right people. And they would be right to do that.
Is there a formal mechanism for appealing a decision that was made if someone felt there was insufficient notice provided?
There is a full grievance section within the bylaws, and then also what's the organization? The Oregon Standards.
Oh no.
Yeah, the ONI standards also has a full description of grievances and how to file those. I do want to point out that this is for the emergency board meetings. So these are not emergency regular meetings that might require a full neighborhood input. These are just, so unless like a direct notice to individuals involved, maybe just going to use this as an example, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of our emergency meetings we had to have earlier this year was to our support of the Multnomah Art Center, which we got notice of that there was going to be a vote on the funding 5 hours before the vote took place. So we weren't actually not able to call an emergency board meeting because we were required to give 24 hours notice to our board members. So we couldn't formally put together, yes, the neighborhood association supports MAC. And so that's just the one example of how this impeded us from being able to formally support I ended up just formally supporting it as myself as president, putting that behind it, but we couldn't do it as a full neighborhood. So in that instance, it was the board members that we needed to notify, but we didn't have enough time to do it. And I think as far as notifying others, if we've done a decent job of posting these on our website. The 2 emergency meetings or special meetings that the board had in July, we did post on the website that M&A board is hosting these meetings. This is the time. This is what we're going to be discussing. So I feel like, you know, we've made some effort to do that.
One question, Amanda had brought up something that, you know, I don't know, I think we have limited resources for, which is, you know, offering this to text, you know, when notified of, you know, emergency type meetings. And it's a little bit different, but perhaps what we could do is when this happens, hopefully never, but when it does, to not only update our website, but perhaps extend a notice to everyone who signed up for Multnomah Messenger. Just like a interim notification saying, you know, procedurally, you're receiving this, I don't know, kind of like an emergency broadcast kind of thing. Is that too much?
That was an email notice. I think we could, there's not specified, but something on like texting people when they have phones or phone calls or so on. Obviously, we're trying to reach people and the techniques we use should be appropriate to what we're doing. Hold it at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if it would be beneficial for us to really define how we put out these notifications in our bylaws, because we want to try to be as flexible as possible. Whether we're, checking in with texting or emailing, and if it's a board meeting, we've got to try to get quorum anyway. So we're going to be doing everything we can to reach out to everyone to get them into the meeting as possible. So, but I think the point is like the 2 hours should be, that's just our minimum 2 hours. So maybe we've got an emergency that comes up and we're texting everyone, but the meeting is in like 5 hours time or something like that. It's just trying to get everyone together. Does anyone with that discussion still have strong reservations or concerns about the new language, or wants to put up a recommendation to the governance committee to revise?
May I suggest that the discussion of notice is important, but it could be put in standing rules rather than the bylaws. Would that be appropriate? So things like texting, okay.
Well,
We have standing rules.
one moment. There is a motion on the floor.
Right.
This one, for changing the notification.
Right.
Discussion of that is how much notification is required. But discussion about notification is a separate topic.
Okay.
It's not the motion on the floor. It's an important topic.
Yeah.
For another time, please.
Yeah, I'm just trying to move the motion forward.
Right. And on that, I'm not hearing any amendments to this motion, so this stands as the.
This is Stefan. I got one thing real quick just to throw out there, and in general this makes a lot of sense to me. Is there a reason that could it be 2 hours, or what, something that's appropriate to the level of the emergency? Because I'm sure there could be some more minor emergencies, and maybe 24 hours is the right amount of time for level B emergencies. I don't want to get too much into the weeds of this. I just want to throw that out there. That's all.
No, it wouldn't, I can't see it being practical to write a variable like that into the bylaws. I think it needs to be a specific number. It doesn't matter to me what that number is, just that we have a number.
Sounds good. That makes sense to me.
there has been great concern, at least among the governance committee, that 24 hours is too long.
There's some about, it looks like the notification, so I think to your point, that's not this motion, but do those need to be addressed?
Talk about Amanda's.
Yeah. We're just reviewing the, here in person, we're reviewing the comments in the chat for discussion.
I don't see anything in that that's relevant to this motion.
So the motion, okay, I felt the same.
So again, without an amendment, what's been presented stands as the main motion. I'll remind you that this motion is out there a month from now, and we'll vote on it in November. Now, there'll be opportunities to amend it both in October and November if there's demand for that.
Just a procedural question. So in November, will we actually present it as a formal motion that'll need to be seconded and then voted on, and is it just voted on by the board or the entire?
The entire body gets to vote on bylaws amendments. It doesn't require a second because it's being presented.
Well, you can
It doesn't require a second because it's being presented by a committee, which is already more than one person. Shall I move on to the next process?
Yes.
Okay. As we have announced in various ways, nominations are open for elections at the annual meeting in November. There are 15 positions to fill, 4 officer positions, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and up to 11 director, that is non-officer board positions. We have 6 nominations so far. We don't have nominations yet for president or vice president. Having a president is critical to having any meetings at all, as you can understand. The governance committee has been debating on how and where to encourage and discourage board membership. I want to encourage more board membership, especially anyone who is already involved with the committee, and even more especially those that are committee chairs. I know that there are some committee chairs who have said they do not want to be on the board. I'm going to encourage them anyway, and because my guess is that being on the board sounds like too much work. I'm going to use myself as an example here. I'm only interested in my one committee, the governance committee. I'm not interested in any of the other committees or really any of the business that we talk about in meetings. I'm only interested in the governance committee and effective meetings. I don't care what we talk about at meetings. And so I'm using that to encourage the rest of you. It's important to the board to have the full voice of each committee and their knowledge to help the board make appropriate decisions. But if that one committee's business is the only thing you're interested in, fine. The 4 officers have to be concerned about all business. but the other board members do not. I would discourage those who aren't interested in committee activity from joining the board. Because one, you're likely to get bored after a while and then not show up to board meetings. Two, the big consequence of too many people, too many board members not showing up to board meetings is that we don't have a quorum. Years ago, I was involved with an organization that was consistently not meeting quorum. And what I had to do was call up those inactive board members and say, how about you just quit? So we have a quorum that is meet our 50% requirement. So that's a real consequence of an inactive board member. But to anyone involved with a committee, even a little bit, please consider at least joining the board. I hope you saw that in my in our announcements, my email, if you want to nominate anyone, including yourself, send that to me, and we'll. I got to add that nominations close at the end of the October meeting. I'd like to say that we won't be accepting nominations in November, but of course we have to if we still have a vacant officer position and no nominations for president or vice president. Of course, we will accept nominations in that case. Otherwise, nominations will close at the end of the October meeting.
I have a question. It's really just a reminder for everybody in this meeting, and just to emphasize this and attach your perfect person to answer this for us. This organization does a lot of good work. There's a lot of people that are passionate about the standpoint of what we do here. What happens if there is no vice president or president?
If we don't have a president, that is someone to preside over the meeting, we just can't have a meeting. Can't. The board could, I suppose, force someone into being presider for the day. That's not a good idea. There's nothing good about not having a president. It's all bad.
Yep. What you mentioned, and it's what I was sharing was from our previous elections. So, and to email you, what's your email address? I can put it in the chat.
Oh, okay. TADAP as in pig Davis @gmail.com. I should also mention that we are using the election processes approved by the body 2 years ago, and that's posted with all of the other meeting documents for this meeting.
I saw 2 questions go up, and Julie, can you respond to Carolyn's question in the chat? I'm not sure who raised their hand first, but I did see Stefan. Did you have a question, Stefan? No. Okay. Will.
I think Judith actually had.
Nope, sorry, that took me a long time to unmute.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Judith, did you have a question? Or Stephen?
No. Just you.
I have a couple. One is a very small typo. It's not chair and vice chair, but president and vice president.
This is document is 2 years old. It was, it was written when we had a chair and a vice chair, not.
In terms of lightening the load, is co-chairing or co-vice president, co-president or co-vice president be a viable option into this?
Yes, there's nothing allowing that in the bylaws. So I would say no.
Well, in practical, your president and vice president should act together, working together, even though the vice president specified role in our bylaws is very narrow, but the vice president should be able to kind of help the president, and they can work together on all the procedural and operational administrative support that the organization needs. So that kind of is a co-working competition thing.
But it is president and vice president. And like, I should add that if we nominate a vice president, but not a president, once elected, once that, but automatically become the acting president at least, yes.
Wow, it would never happen.
I do have one further thing on this. You mentioned, Ted, you're just the governance committee, but there's a membership committee and the nominations committee. Are those subsets of governance in your mind?
Nominations and elections are subcommittees of governance simply because I declared it. So membership, we had talked about that a couple of years ago. I want to get more into that, but not yet. Maybe next year.
So we essentially don't have a membership committee as such.
Right, we do not.
Okay. Any other?
No.
Okay, I will just, oh, go ahead, Will.
Is another motion coming?
No.
Because there's I know it's a typo of what the bylaws currently say, you can bring motions at any regular meeting. I think it's supposed to be every annual meeting. And I don't think bylaws have been changed.
They can, and they have, well, the adding employees as a qualification for membership. That actually happened at a regular meeting. It's just good practice, good practice to do it at the annual meeting, because that's where the full membership already gets to vote in the elections. And so since we were going to have more people there, that's the best time to talk about bylaws amendments. The other thing that usually happens at an annual meeting is approval of the budget. And that usually by the full membership as well.
So you're saying it's not necessary to change the bylaws, you recommend that it go to the annual meeting, but it could, in special circumstances, amendments to bylaws could be done at a regular meeting.
It could be. This governance committee will not.
Well, I just for emphasis, for what Tad is saying, I am not planning on submitting my nomination as president for this next term. Just want to make that fully clear to everyone that we have an open president and open vice president positions. I believe our current treasurer and secretary are willing and able to continue on. So we are definitely looking for president and vice president. I mentioned earlier, we have a really strong, vibrant community, people that are willing to put in time and effort. And I encourage everyone to consider these roles, or thinking of a neighbor that might be a good fit, maybe encourage them to explore this option. And if anyone has any questions about what this role entails, and feel free to email me. Happy to chat with you. It's not too much. I just have a very heavy work travel schedule that kind of interferes with this a little bit. So it's just a lot for my work to do this for me. But
Diane, Stefan here. Quick question for you. If we find someone that we could coerce to do the role, would you help train them?
of course, yes.
Okay.
Available. For
Okay.
sure.
I'll reach out to our neighborhood overachievers.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Everyone, I'm going to move on with our agenda though. I know we're coming to the close. I'm not going to take too long, but I do want to give Beth your opportunity to give a District 4 report since we skipped over you. Do you have any, are you still on? Do you have anything you want to share?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
First, the District 4 had its celebration of success dinner in June or July. And there were around 66 people there. And because I was on the organizing committee, there were 3 of us. I was allowed to ask one more person from our neighborhood association to attend. That made 3 of us in attendance. And we had the largest group of people from any neighborhood association there. So good on us. And then the usual District 4 board meeting was moved because of Labor Day, but was last night. And we learned last night that the city has still not given District 4 its budget. It hasn't given any of the district coalitions their money. District 4 is operating in their reserves account right now. And if they don't get the money soon, their office is going to have to shut down and employees won't be paid. So the board has been working very hard to pester the city to get that going. It's been an annual problem getting the funding. And the last we heard was this afternoon, the city wrote back and said they think it'll be solved in a day or 2, but they've been saying that for weeks on end. So we'll see what happens next. We've been putting a lot of pressure on the city. Darlene announced last night that she is looking to work somewhere else and may not stay on as executive director of District 4. So that was kind of left up in the air, and we'll see what happens with that. The Olivia Clark is giving $2,000 to each neighborhood association to do communications work, but that money is held up in Civic Life at the moment. As soon as that gets distributed to District 4, District 4 will pass that along to each neighborhood association. So we are encouraged to start thinking about how we, as our communications group, wants to spend that $2,000. So I would hope that that will be put on the agenda for the communications group to start thinking about and maybe start coming up with a budget. That's my report for now.
Okay, thank you, Beth. I'm going to give 2 just quick notices on land use, since we also do not have a land use committee chair. And as I reported last time, any land use decisions that come in from the city, we post those in the drive that month's meeting. But I do want to just kind of report back on the AHOP and let everyone know that the Planning Commission did listen to testimony on August 26th, and then they unanimously voted to recommend the AHOP rezoning package as presented to the City Council. So that is in its next phase, going to City Council, and the board is working on some back end stuff to see what we can do to still try to get this year's Armory site put out of that. But I don't have anything to report right now. There's not been much movement. The next one that is up is the Regulatory Improvement Code Amendment Package or recap. The proposed draft was sent to the Planning Committee, and so it is currently open for public testimony and commenting until September 22nd before the Planning Commission votes. So I would encourage anyone that has feedback or views on that to submit their written testimony. I have placed the link in the chat, and it is also on our website. Just mention that. And then moving on to new business, I got a fun email from a neighbor, and I just thought I would share this with everyone. The neighbor told me that the Multnomah School was nominated to the National Historic Registry in 2020 and has now been officially given its plaque that was installed in late August. So the Multnomah Art Center now has a plaque as an official historic building. So go check that out. Yeah.
Some protection as well.
I don't know, maybe.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. Yes, Lisa.
Mark and my husband David and 4 neighbors testified at the Planning Commission hearing. And I just want to add that there was one person on the Planning Commission that recognized that the neighbors have not been heard for years. And the Planning Commission agreed to write a letter to the counselors, sort of acknowledging that there's been a lot of not straight shooting by the city of Portland on that site. And so the one person who was really listening, he was an attorney, and he was really good at acknowledging that the neighbors who took the time and provided the history and presented what we've been going through for the last 10 years with that site, he's going to bring that to the city council, as I understand it, and they're all agreed to write a letter. Is that your understanding, Will?
Yes, that is, that they would be doing it. I wanted to also piggyback on that there is basically what's happening is they voted this in unanimously. The council is likely to vote it in, although we have not yet lobbied or talked to our council members to see where they are. I want to raise the possibility that we reconsider our opposition to recap, because one of the major reasons we opposed it in the beginning was we didn't have adequate notice. Now we have adequate notice. Are there reasons for anybody to say we should change our opposition to support it or be neutral? I don't have any. I think the net effect of the recap is to allow more safer, not safest villages, or anything, overnight shelters or whatever, for up to 200 people who are now limited by 60. I would not want to give that much rope for them to go hangers.
My understanding is the RICAP will allow for there to be 200 pods on the site. And they changed it from a safe risk village to a task site, which also allows for a lot of people in that parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more people being allowed without much extra control.
So what are you saying that you?
I'm raising, is there any possibilities anyone here want to change our position, or do we reaffirm our opposition to recap?
Are you inferring that we only opposed it because of the not having sufficient time to consider it? Is that the question at hand?
That was the substance of our testimony. We didn't go into the merits of it as a thing. We said, look, we don't know enough to know. Now that we've had more opportunity to look at it.
Right, yeah.
We want to reaffirm that we indeed don't like the substance of it, or what do we do?
Or you're saying, or modify our opposition, to modify from lack of sufficient time to not feeling that it's advantageous to
have such large or
that's the question.
Sort of thing.
Okay.
Homeless services. I think that would be a recommendation. If we want to continue that, to recognize the substance indeed has risks for the neighborhoods because of the way homeless shelters and homeless activities had been done without much consideration of neighbor needs. Despite, it just come down to the Pearl, you might have noticed, a few people were a little unhappy with the 200-person overnight shelters with good reason.
I would be open to exploring to amending our opposition to be more strong. I feel like most of the people on this call and here in person have heard over the many months the neighbors in the area about the amount of pods. But I would be open to hearing if, as Will said, if there's anybody that has opposition to us strengthening our opposition to recap.
Modify, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, hearing none, then yeah, the board will explore strengthening our opposition motion because of the risk to the neighborhood before we submit our official testimony as the M&A.
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Well, that is it for all of our business for the day. I'm gonna bring this. Yes, Will.
Sorry to get back in here, but I was out of the room when the communications report was made. I don't know if anyone did anything about it because
We skipped over it due to the interest of time.
Good, real quick. I appeal for volunteers to staff that communications task force. We lost several key people that weren't on it, and we have to replace them or find a way to be effective in our communications.
Yeah.
So that's just a, come on down. It's
Yes.
time to communicate.
We need across the board, like I mentioned earlier, board, officer positions, community chairs, anyone interested. Okay.
If I
Sarah,
may say
question?
regarding the communications committee group, if now that we're going to have $2,000 from Olivia Clark's budget, we ought to be more enthusiastic about what it is we're going to be doing.
Yes, yes. And strategic.
Sarah, you can feel free to, I know you lowered your hand, but if you want to email me your question, we can address it offline. No
It
worries.
was a communications piece. I think my internet also cut out when Will was out of the room. So 30-second, it was more just an FYI that I have started kind of refreshing the website. So if anyone's been on it recently, my goal really is to update the design, layout, content, the look and the feel. And I'm hoping that this first phase will help people who are going on the website be more informed, feel more informed, find.
Okay, we had a bad connection there for you, Sarah. So thank you for letting us know about the website. And yeah, anyone, please feel free to reach out, join the communications group or website task force. We welcome all the help there. Just two quick announcements. Our next regular meeting is Tuesday, October 13th. I'm going to emphasize it again. That is when nominations are due for board elections. Please consider submitting those. They are due by the close of that meeting. So anytime before that. And then at the suggestion of our equity committee, we are moving that annual meeting to the third Tuesday of November to avoid the overlap with Veterans Day. So our annual meeting will be on Tuesday, November 18th. Just a quick change there.
October Tuesday is the 14th, not the 13th.
Sorry,
As you.
Tuesday, October 14th.
Yeah.
I had it wrong on my notes here. So
And
sorry.
you are not going to be present that day?
TBD.
Okay.
We can-
Got it.
Okay, I'm going to motion to adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone, for your time and for joining, and for being a part of our neighborhood and all the hard work everyone has done this summer. So, thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, see y'all.